Hey guys, and welcome back to another Pro Guides video. My name is Dan, and today we're going to be talking about the 5 best weapons in Valorant that you aren't using. But before we start talking about that, you know what time it is. It's time for the question of the day. Today's question is, what is your favorite off-meta gun to use? Personally, I find using the Odin to be very satisfying, if a bit on the expensive side. There's just something about being able to hold down the trigger and walk forward and somehow still get kills that is just too fun. It's a magic weapon, I tell ya. Remember to leave your thoughts or answer the question of the day in the comments down below. Let's finally start talking about the weapons you guys definitely need to be trying out. First up on our list today is the Marshal. If you are an avid Pro Guides fan, you might remember this weapon making an appearance on our video about the 4 most underrated weapons in Valorant. In the time since then, the community has started growing pretty fond of the gun, and the meta surrounding it has evolved a bit. Now more than ever, people are picking up the Marshal, and you should too. With a surprisingly fast fire rate of 1.5 rounds per second unscoped and 1.2 rounds per second scoped, it has no issues putting out a lot of bullets for a sniper. Do be wary of the limiting magazine size though, only able to hold 5 rounds at a time before needing a reload. These stats are all well and good, but the main reason that people are picking up this weapon is for its unscoped accuracy. The Marshal loses almost no accuracy between scoped and unscoped, allowing you to use the Marshal a bit more frantically if that's what's required for the situation. It also doesn't break your wallet, costing only a meager 1,100 credits. If you can learn to live with the 5-round magazine and are willing to put some time in to train your sniping skills, this might be a weapon to consider picking up more, as not many other weapons can beat it at that price range. Obviously, since it is still a sniper, you do want to be avoiding the super close angles and rooms. Instead, head for the longer angles or places with easy escapes if things get a bit too heated. Haven in general is a great map for the Marshal. Many long angles to watch and a lot of room to reposition and strike from a different angle every time. Try to avoid places like U-Haul on Bind or A-Ramp on Split, where it's a bit too easy for enemies to run you down before you can get more than 1 or 2 shots off. One thing you may notice about weapons in Valorant is that there is never a case where there is one gun that is just a better version of another gun. All the weapons have their own place and their own role that they can fill, and the Stinger is no different. It may be a cheap SMG, costing only 1,000 credits, but with the fastest fire rate in the game, it is certainly far from a bad weapon. As mentioned, each weapon has its own role, and the role of the Stinger is to act like an automatic shotgun at close range. Being a bullet hose normally carries a slightly negative connotation, but in Valorant, where there are so many corners to check and so many angles to cover, the increased fire rate really gives you the upper hand in close-range gunfights. Taking the Stinger to anywhere that requires any sort of range is just asking for that jet to take your head off with an operator. Instead, places like A-Short on Haven, Hookah on Bind, and B-Main on Ascent are good alternatives to cover with a Stinger. While it may be a great close-range alternative, I can't recommend sticking out a whole round with the Stinger if you can pick up a better weapon from the ground. The lack of range really hurts the later into a round it gets because you will be forced to be rotating and moving around the map more, and that is going to force you to have to deal with some long angles that it just can't handle. The Stinger's zoom is only 1.15x, but like the Bulldog, it actually gains access to a secondary fire mode when scoped in. 4 rounds burst turns the Stinger from a garden hose to more of a faucet, definitely more accurate but less powerful. The 4-round burst can help you deal with range a bit more, but it is definitely not going to be letting you 1v5 anytime soon. Next up is the cheapest weapon in the game, priced at a clean 0 credits, the Classic. Maybe because it is the cheapest weapon, that's why people are refusing to use it. On pistol rounds, a lot of people have been opting for Ghosts lately over the Classic. While we could get into the economic ramifications of this decision, that would take a while, so let's instead say that by using a Classic, not only do you get more value than a Ghost, you get an extra 500 credits to spend on shields and abilities. It's not even that the Classic is good in comparison to the Ghost. The Classic stats speak for themselves for something that costs nothing. With over 78 damage per headshot and 26 damage per body shot, the Classic can take down even a shielded opponent at most engagement ranges in only a few shots. In the chance that you're playing Ascent, the Classic still does an impressive 66 damage per headshot and 22 damage per body shot at up to 50 meters. Oh, and did I mention a pretty good alternate fire mode that fires 3 bullets like a shotgun? Yeah, remember, free gun by the way. The value that the Classic provides is just unparalleled, and it just takes a few minutes of aim practice a day. If you don't want to do even that, then just run around using its alt fire to kill people on pistol round. The combo is primary fire, then alternate fire. That will get 4 bullets out pretty fast compared to any other method. Next time you hop into a match, try going for the Classic and see how it pans out. Who knows, you may find that you do better with it than you expected. Coming in to help start us close off this video, it's the Guardian. Reasonably priced at 2,500 credits, the Guardian is another weapon you avid viewers will know we bring up from time to time. It's really a great weapon, and it's pretty sad to see that not many people are using it, especially when it outshines the Phantom and Vandal in certain situations. With a 12-round magazine and a decent fire rate of 4.75 rounds per second, you can empty this weapon in 2 or 3 seconds. Not that you should, since the recoil will probably break your wrist. The Guardian really flexes its damage when it is being tap-fired and allowed to reset in between shots. If you fire it as fast as possible after the first 3 shots, the recoil will start to pull your shots really high up. With the best scope in the game outside of the snipers, with a 1.5x magnification and no fire rate penalty, the Guardian is a marksman's weapon that is suited for ranged engagements. The beauty of it, however, is that while it may thrive in those longer range fights, it can still hold its own at close range if you get the game sense for it. The Guardian will one-shot to the head at any shield level and will require between 2 and 3 body shots to kill depending on shield level. It's this high damage output that allows it to stay relevant in close-range fights, with the recoil of the Guardian only really spiking after the first 3 shots. If you can manage to land those first 3 shots on an enemy, they are as good as dead. Use the Guardian in places like A long on Haven, mid on Split, A main on Ascent, or mid on Bind. Anywhere that seems a bit farther out than most people are comfortable using a Vandal or Phantom at is perfect. If you want some help figuring out your positioning with the Guardian or with anything related to your play, then be sure to check out ProGuides.com. We offer on-demand coaching from some of the best players out there, so be sure to follow the link in the description to learn from the best. If coaching isn't your style, no worries. We have a ProGuides Valorant Discord server that you can join right now. We are hosting awesome events like giveaways, raffles, and free Q&A sessions with some of our highest ranked coaches. So if that sounds interesting to you, then just click on the Discord link in the description down below. Alright, I know that we just bashed the Judge in the tier list video, but hear me out. The Judge is the semi-auto shotgun in Valorant, dropping in at 1,500 credits. The Judge is the most expensive shotgun in the game as well, with the Shorty costing a meager 200 credits, with the Bucky clocking in at 900 credits. With a drum mag holding 7 shells and a 3.5 rounds per second fire rate to chuck them at your enemies, the Judge definitely doesn't falter in the damage per second category. Unfortunately, being a shotgun, it does have pretty heavy damage fall off at range, making this a less than optimal choice for long and open maps like Ascent or Split. However, if you really want to farm some kills, close angles or maps with a lot of corners like Haven and Bind are a playground for this thing. If you're close enough, you can even one-shot to the head through heavy shields with this gun. It's also great at stopping rushes, especially if you're playing a mobile agent like Jett or Omen. People are much less likely to try and push onto a site when they see their buddy just got their face inverted 5 feet in front of them. Even if they do try to keep pushing onto site, you got 7 shots that all do massive damage at close range, which will probably let you bring at least 1 or 2 of them down with you. If you want to play a bit safer, you can always do the hide around corner strat, allowing you to just 1 or 2 tap unaware enemies and either snag their gun or reposition to a different corner. That being said, the Judge is not a replacement for an actual rifle or operator in buy rounds. But I do recommend picking up a Judge if you got a bit of extra cash on save or half buy rounds and know that you're going to be watching an angle where it can be put to good use. As a thank you to everyone that stuck around this far, we wanted to give a little insight into how people determine what makes a gun good or bad. Please note that this is by no means a comprehensive guide, and we could easily put out an entire video dedicated to this subject. If you'd like to see us make a video discussing exactly that, then come on, let us know in the comments. What makes a good gun relies on quite a few things. The weapons in its class, its price, its damage output, its fire rate, any special factors in the weapon like alternate fires or special interactions with abilities, but most importantly, how people are using it. A weapon like the Vandal is easy to call good because it performs well in all the important stats, good damage and one-shot potential, an average fire rate, and an average scope. The Vandal also has a dedicated community of players around it that are constantly evolving the weapon and pushing it to its limits to find out what it can do. When you start looking at weapons like the pistols, for instance, it becomes a bit harder because of how unique they are. For instance, let's look at if the Shorty is better than the Frenzy. From our point of view, it looks like this. The Shorty is a powerful weapon capable of taking down an enemy in 1 or 2 shots, and is cheap, costing only 200 credits, but it has limited ammo, horrible range, and not exactly a speedy reload for only 2 shells. On the other hand, the Frenzy has fully automatic fire, 13 rounds in a magazine, and an average reload time. However, it suffers from bad accuracy and can struggle to kill sometimes if you don't know how to control its recoil. We try to weigh these factors against each other and look at how different levels of players would interact with the weapons. A lower ranked player might not understand how to control a frenzy's recoil, but a shorty is easier because it's just point and click. A mid-ranked player will probably look towards the frenzy because they understand how to control its recoil a bit better and probably won't want to deal with having to reload the shorty after 2 shots. A high-ranked player will probably lean towards the frenzy more, as they probably know how to control its recoil properly, and the frenzy is a much more versatile weapon than the shorty due to its increased magazine size and ability to kill at range. It's through a combination of stat analysis and observing the meta and how different players approach using these weapons that we try to determine what weapons are good in the current meta. If you want us to go more in depth in this process, then don't forget to leave a comment letting us know. Well guys, that's all we have for you today. Don't forget to hit that like button if you liked the video, and if you're feeling extra zesty, maybe even consider hitting that subscribe button. Remember to stay safe out there, and until next time, peace.